How do you feel when you find a mistake and it's too late?
It sounds awfully strong, but I feel devastated. I hate to find a mistake too late. In fact, if I do find a mistake and I've already sent it, because why would I have looking at it? For instance, I'll do an inventory for somebody. I could then use that inventory to do the next inventory because I'd use the same template. And I might find when I'm doing the next inventory over that one, oh no, I've made a silly mistake there. And if it's a recent inventory, I'll quickly email a client and say, I hope you haven't sent that to your client yet because I found a mistake. I'm so sorry. And it has happened a couple of times with my inventory client, and he's come back and said, it's okay, I spotted it, thanks anyway. That's an interesting question. I would say I accept 90% of them. I've put it quite clearly, I think, on my website that I don't like interviews and focus groups because I don't like leaving gaps and I can't always distinguish the voice. I prefer doing work for the clients who speak clearly, obviously, and clients that I know, clients that know that they're talking to me. You know, when a client's saying, hi Pam, or Pam, could you please do this, there's that personal contact, even though I haven't met them. They know they're talking to me, and that's helpful. But not all clients do. Some are very formal and don't use my name at all. I think because some of them know that I might pass the work on to somebody else, and it's not Pam who's typing it.
Let's imagine somebody is determined to use you for a focus group. What could they do when they were recording their session that would increase the likelihood that you felt able to accept the work?
Make sure that people aren't talking over each other and that they're aware that this is being recorded. They're not just talking in a focus group amongst themselves and that's it. That there's somebody who's going to have to transcribe it. One thing I find very difficult, some clients have been told about this and they don't seem to take much notice. For instance, doing a medical report. They've got their notes in front of them and then they've got the recorder the other side of the notes. And so they're talking to me and that's fine. And then they flick all these pages, and while they're flicking the pages, they're still talking. Of course, if the recorder's there, I'm hearing the flicking of the pages more than the voice. And I think I say on my website somewhere that it's preferable if they don't do this. Because I will try and get the words that I can't hear by rewinding, listening again, rewinding, listening again. I might do that 5 times trying to get a word before I give up because I'm so determined to try and get the word that I haven't heard. Now, it's such a waste of time and my client's money. Whereas if they spoke clearly, knowing that they're speaking into a recorder to someone who's got to transcribe it, that wouldn't happen.
What about where you have 2 people who both have regional accents that are quite similar? Is there anything you could recommend to clients to do to help you differentiate between 2 speakers?
Well, the only thing I can think of is that they say that they address each other by name when they're switching from one speaker to another. For instance, John, could you answer this?
So like for the client to act as the chair of the meeting,
Yes.
and if somebody wants to talk, for example, they put up their hand, and then the chair states the name of the person who should talk.
That would be helpful. I would probably accept it then.
Okay. So it's really just where you have more than 2 people talking.
Or if they want a complicated layout. I recently had to say to a client, I can't do your work anymore, it's too stressful. because they wanted me to incorporate lots of different other kinds of documents into their document. Different maps, different pictures, all in different formats.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing about this particular client was that they didn't want me to proofread their work, and there were lots of grammatical errors in it, unfinished sentences, and I couldn't resist correcting them where I could, because I knew that that work was then going to, I think it was a town council, and I knew that they would look silly with these silly errors, and so I corrected some of these mistakes, but of course couldn't charge for it because they weren't asking me to do that. And I did at one stage with one of the jobs that this particular client gave me, say, could I please just do a quick check of your grammar and spelling to make the document look better? No thanks, I don't need you to do that for me. And so I had to say, all right, I won't, but I still did without charging. But in the end I found it very stressful, having to send back a document that I knew was far from perfect. Another one, I don't like typing text in Excel. I don't really like Excel very much at all. But I will use it for existing clients if they really want me to. But yeah, I don't like typing Excel. Word is much better.
Thank you.
Well, the best history book, to my mind, is the Bible. A lot of people wouldn't agree with me, but I believe it gives the history of the world and mankind from the very beginning. So, thinking about that history book, the person I'd most like to speak to would be King David. He's one of the most interesting characters. He seemed to know God intimately, and he had experienced a lot of life. He wasn't perfect at all. He made a lot of mistakes. He was a shepherd boy called to be a king. So he had an amazing experience of looking after sheep, being in the wilds, killing animals that were going to attack his sheep, rising to be king. And he died an old man, still trusting the Lord. I'd like to ask him what he had liked most about his life. What part of his life had he found the most beneficial and enjoyed the most? Being a warrior, or sitting on his throne, or just looking after sheep and living a simple life? And I'd love to hear that.